Hey, this is Mark Washington, MTC Media. So Notre Dame, Ohio State, it's right around the corner. Ohio State is 9.5 point favorites, and there's a reason why Ohio State is 9.5 point favorites. There's probably not a skill position on the field that Notre Dame is better than Ohio State at. Now, you can say running back. I would say if Jeremiah Love was 100%, which he is not, you would have an argument. But you're asking Notre Dame to beat one of the most talented teams in the country, who, by the way, lost 2 games. One was at Oregon, which they avenged, and the unfortunate Michigan loss, which seems to be an annual thing with Ryan Day. But Ryan Day has a chance that John Cooper never had, which is Ryan Day has a chance to make up for that loss. And for Notre Dame, you're playing with a quarterback who is essentially a run first quarterback, who can't throw the ball down the field, who doesn't have receivers who can get open down the field, who has one of the best running backs in the country, not 100%, whose offensive line looks nothing like the offensive line that they were projected to be, going up against Ohio State's defense. So, how does Notre Dame win this game? And I'll go back for people my age. You'll remember this game. You'll remember Georgetown Villanova, 1985 national championship game. And Georgetown, for most of that game, had their C game. And Villanova, for all of that game, had their A-plus game. And you know what? Georgetown still had a chance to win at the end. That's the amazing thing about that game. They still had a chance. Notre Dame could have their A-plus game, and Ohio State could have their C game. And Ohio State will still have a chance to win that game. So how does Notre Dame get past that? They have to manufacture big plays, not only offensively, but defensively. And I don't know how they get those big plays in the pass game. You can't always depend on someone's defensive back slipping and falling. So is that throwing on first down and risking getting behind the chains? Because there's some way, somehow, you're going to have to loosen up Ohio State's defense, who will have a spy on Ryan Leonard the entire time. So how do you loosen them up? How do you get them off their game? And do you do it enough? Notre Dame can't look for shot plays 2 times in a game. It's got to be more than that. There's got to be more times where you say, I can get a big one on my arm. Secondly, seeing the hole, Jadarian Price more than Jeremiah Love. Because they are going to be in run-first posture, meaning Ohio State's defense, for the majority of that game. When you see a cutback lane or you see a hole, you have to explode through it. You can't miss it. You can't see it late. You can't twinkle toes your way through it. You have to explode through it and go and get chunk plays in that running game. It can't be 3.2 yards a carry. Because let's be all frank, Notre Dame's run game in the college football playoffs has not been that good. Outside of Riley Leonard's legs, it has not been that good. And I'm not blaming anyone there. I mean, good gracious, man, Notre Dame with their injuries and their offensive line and everything else, and those guys are playing at their best, and they're not playing bad. But it's also not, what was slated to be. And there's still questions going into the game on a couple of those spots. So that's how you do it offensively. Defensively, Al Golden, man, because this is going to be the toughest wide receiving core those defensive backs have ever seen. You talking about a game where you miss Riley Mills, a game where you miss someone like Benjamin Morrison, a game where you miss not having your edge rusher, first team backup, or the third string guy, because all those guys were hurt throughout the season and they were lost for the season. This is the game where you miss it, because Notre Dame is going to have to put pressure on Will Howard. And so it's how do you manufacture those pressures? And against this wide receiving core, can Notre Dame man them up the amount of times they're probably going to man them up. So, can you flip the field? Can you get that important 3 and out when Ohio State's drive starts at their own 13-yard line? Can you, when Ohio State has first and goal from the 9, can you make sure that's 3 points and not 7 points? All of those things have to add up for Notre Dame's defense. And of course, a pick six, a fumble, something along those lines for Notre Dame has to line up to get this game to a fourth quarter and to get this game where it's a one possession game either way, and almost like a who has the ball last, similar to what Penn State Notre Dame was about a week ago. That's the way Notre Dame stays close. But I'm going to tell you what, if Notre Dame's run defense that showed up in the first half against Penn State shows up against Ohio State, it's curtains, guys. It is absolutely positively curtains for Notre Dame, because that cannot happen. So that's that defense that was in the second half, the better defense, and the defense that held on until they forced the mistake of Christian Gray. There you go. Notre Dame also, some of it's going to be officiating. You know, how much hand jockeying are they going to let down the field? You know, because the guys like Christian Gray need to be physical with these guys. Is every little touch going to be pass interference? If so, could be a long day for Notre Dame. And the flip side is for Notre Dame, they don't have receivers, or they don't have the playbook, or you don't have a quarterback. See whatever you want. To put themselves in that situation as often as Ohio State will. And then the special teams. Notre Dame can't miss field goals. Second, don't you just have a feeling that there's going to be a fake punt or fake somewhere in this game from Notre Dame, similar to what we saw with Virginia Tech when they played Florida State for the national championship? You know, you almost feel like that's coming. Now, and I already made a video, if you haven't caught it, about Brian Kelly and all the stuff that's happening, but I'll say it here. Brian Kelly did a lot for Notre Dame. There's no doubt about it. Do I know if Brian Kelly could have brought Notre Dame to this point? Don't know. And here's the reason why. Because, one, I don't know if they can get the kids out the portal that Marcus Freeman got. I don't know if they could get enough out of an injured team the way Notre Dame has been injured every week almost. I don't know if Brian Kelly could have done that, to be honest with you. I don't know if he could have captivated the locker room as much as Freeman with this group in this era has captivated the locker room. And so those type of things is it's the things that are in question. And last but not least, never forget this. Yes, Brian Kelly did get Notre Dame to the national championship game. I mean, they were pounded by Alabama, and he got them in the top 4 game. But what has helped Freeman is it took them 3 games to get here. It was 3 knockout games to get here. Indiana, Georgia, Penn State. 3 knockout games to get here. And that's just simple of there was not a 12-team playoff for those Notre Dame teams. But Marcus Freeman deserves every bit of the credit that he is getting without apologizing, you know, or without these little comments by Brian Kelly to make sure, well, you know, I recruited a lot of those kids there. Stop it. Stop it. You're the guy who said that Notre Dame was not equipped in this era to win a national championship. And right now, it doesn't look like they're going to win a national championship. In fact, the irony of it all is, will anyone be surprised if the final score resembles the final scores that Kelly lost his big games in? I don't think anyone will be shocked. Truth of the matter is that where Notre Dame is with Marcus Freeman, I think part of it is people feel like this model is more sustainable for Notre Dame. That they can do it in a way where it's more sustainable in this current environment. And we saw Brian Kelly's his first year in the 12-team playoff at the school that he went to specifically because that gives him a chance to win the national championship. Didn't even make it to the college football playoffs. Probably Kelly needs to worry about Kelly. But I think if you look at where Notre Dame was when Kelly took the program over, you look at where Notre Dame was when Marcus Freeman took the program over. I think for Notre Dame, both situations was perfect for them. I think you needed someone like Brian Kelly on the field. Off the field, there were some issues. I discussed that in the other video. I'm not going to discuss it here. I think Brian Kelly, that into this era, that Notre Dame needed someone that was more reflective of this era. And they got that in Marcus Freeman. Both can be true at the same time. So, Notre Dame, Ohio State, January 20th. It's Marcus Washington, NTC Media.